The Brotherhood of the Fire Fist is back. We have Dragunity Pile for you today. Actually, speaking of Dragunity Pile, we have Lunalite good stuff for you as well, and some more interesting takes. You guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. You know, we all love Tri-Brigade cards. We love the ideas that allow this deck to kind of flow and function here, but we never really look at, you know, diverging the deck and testing out other ideas like Fire King, or excuse me, the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist. We know we saw the Fire King Arvada here, and we're like, oh boy, Fire Kings, yes. So basically, this build is functioning on the idea that we're going to be able to go down the link lines down here, have the Sharag for defense, also being able to have good old Sinto up and running. Keep in mind that Sinto is only a spell and trap negate. I really wish that this card actually negated for monster effects, but for whatever reason, that was how they chose to go about this. And we were also playing Crossout Designator in here because this card right here will ruin your entire day. We all know how this fundamentally works at this point, you know. Getting cut off of the Nibiru cycle, a little bit rough at the end of the day. So, kind of mess around with this deck. I know the Fire King combo lines are not exactly, you know, the most enticing sort of things, especially when you're looking at DDD combo lines back in the day as well. It gets really big brain, but if you want a deck that you can have fun with, take people by surprise, I guarantee you people see, you know, Bear or, you know, Buffalo, Dragon, they're going to look at these cards and they're going to go, what in the world are you playing? And then you're just going to be like, gas, 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 full combo, and your opponent's just really not going to know what to do. So I actually like that a lot. Also, you know, you've also got interruption plays through the Sharag on the opponent's turn. We've seen this before. There's a reason why these cards are crazy broken as it is. So this is awesome to see. Next up here, we have this Dragunity Pile sporting off some kind of interesting ideas. Now, I do want to preface this with the idea here that you can do some dumb things with the Dragunity cards. Your boards that you can produce, I don't think a lot of people really give this deck enough consideration. Also, let's call it what it is, Mr. Crimson Dragon down here, being able to warp on into, you know, our good friends here, and many of our other little combo lines down here as well. Also, Bread Hair actually getting the chance to see play. This is actually kind of cool. I also like the fact that this is able to use Ray Sloth to toggle up into Kashtira cards as well. You know, honestly, if this deck had a Rice Heart, I could imagine some of the crazier little interactions that you could quite possibly throw at your opponent, but it's neither here nor there. I also like the fact we still have Book of Moons on the defense here. You do see the Foolish Burial Goods able to drop the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation to go get you a free level 4 monster, aka more discard fodder, and then, you know, you're able to tutor on into the Dragon Ravines. You're probably going to be, I believe this build can go through multiple Dragon Ravines in turn, right? Because you'll search for the one off of Rom. If you end up seeing the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, you'll have multiple lines of dumping, able to kind of do your thing. And one of the other things I find beautiful about this deck is good old Kawaki Mero Draco. You know, pull side decking. When you are going to bring in these devastating cards to punish your opponent, this is one of those cards that walking, talking floodgates, especially off of spheres, can really ruin your opponent's day. Also, Armagram getting a little bit of play in here as well. Once again, you have another fun deck that I think that you can have success with, and that's actually really cool to see. Next up here, we have the power of Lunalite combo. This is actually kind of mind-boggling to me, because you hardly ever see anybody looking to the Lunalight cards as ideas to mess around with. But what happens when, we go back to the old 60 card pile, you're bringing these rocket cards into the equation here. Because remember, Boot Sector Launch is still free extenders for the deck. And, especially Striker Dragon, the free search here, kind of going up. You have the Adventure Package here to ensure that, you can have these defensive lines also set up. So you can kind of do your thing. Also, if you do see the Serenade Dance, well, congratulations. Free discard fodder along the way for, good old faithful adventure. But I actually wonder how much stronger this deck gets kind of going forward here because, good old Pankratops now is at 2. So now you can have more going second. This build also wants to make sure that if your opponent has hand traps in their hand, you want to know where you need to stop mid-combo. That's why you're seeing things like Drag Down to the Grave here and Exchange actually present in this, because one of those well-timed hand traps will ruin your entire day. All right, so also maybe if you think your opponent's gonna have a combo extender for you as well, you never really know in the current game, if you get something along the way to kind of assist you, or, you need to get a terrible card out of your hand. Also, if you drag down and you show this deck to your opponent, I wonder what they're going to actually take. Probably, not the Water Enchantress, right? Because they don't want that in the graveyard, even though it's going to resolve anyway. A lot of things to consider. This is, once again, one of those very interesting decks. Next up here, we have Sky Striker. Now, the world is your oyster for this deck. You can do so much with Striker now until you lose to the Drawn Lockbird. All right, that's going to be your biggest problem right now is that Drawn Lockbird gonna say no Peru to you, and I'm not really looking forward to hearing the arguments from the people going, oh man, I just lost to Droll, like I hate Striker. But for this build, we're still most of the solid stuff here. This build did opt for cross-out designators. You want to make sure that if you think you're going to lose to a certain hand trap, hey look, we have the stop built into the deck. No, I'm not losing to this randomness out here. I also see that we're side decking a second Azalea as well. Does this actually come up all that much? I guess the thing with this is if you're making the Azalea, you have things like Widow Anchors to, get the monsters over to your side of the field so you can kind of do your thing. Post side decking, I see that we have Golems in here. We have the additional Drawn Lockbird. The interesting fact, they didn't want to extend this out really anymore. And I also see that we have Book of Moons in here as well. And this is kind of cute. Still got to deal with that little annoying Purely deck. Also, this deck didn't play any Thrust. I find that kind of interesting. Thrust is one of those cards that is so insane at the end of the day that, Striker wants to be able to set this card, right? Like, this is still kind of the heart and soul of your deck. And if you're not able to get to this, I feel like you're just kind of in a bad position overall. So, interesting for that note. Outside of that, yeah, an interesting Striker build. And we have Synchro, good stuff. Rip cards away from your opponent's hand. I'm looking forward to seeing how Synchro is going to evolve now that we have just a card, because now you've opened up the playing field to so much more in the deck building department that I think a lot more ideas are going to kind of fly everywhere, and that's a good thing. All right. Also, I always love the fact this build just only played 2 copies of the cross-out designator. Obviously, big old Nibiru here can ruin your day. It's going to be a lot of the theme today. We play the anti-cards so we don't lose to them, but nobody wants to play Called by the Grave. It's just like, hey, if you have the cutoff point, you're better than me, I accept the game state type of thing. And it's hilarious that that's a lot of the ideas that we kind of have going for this. So I will take that for sure. But outside of that, these Synchro decks, you pick your poison this format, you know. Are you going to go Blackwing combo, or are you going to go, you know, down the play lines of something like this for the junk speed? Are you going to do the Red Dragon Archfiend plays? All of them are viable. You've just got to make your decision tree for the deck building process to go, hey, you know, this could actually work out at the end. So that is everything that we have for these decks. I'm very intrigued to see where the evolution will go from here, but looking good so far. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.